We believe in God, the Almighty Spirit, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in humankind and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. We believe that the kingdom of heaven is within us, and that we experience this kingdom to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is surely to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny. For we understand that the life of humankind is God. And so it is. And as we just allow that to resonate with us, it's another opportunity to see how we all come together. So I would invite you to join us in singing We Come Together.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, we come together, we come together, in the name of love. We come together, we come together, we come together, in the name of love. and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together.
So this Sunday, we're playing a little bit of catch-up with about another 120 centers all around the world. And as we do so, we are embarking on a year-long journey, embracing a theme of global vision, a theme of a world that works for everyone. So what I've learned, and I dare say I'm still learning it, is that a world that works for everyone actually begins with me. My understanding is that my every thought, every idea, every action, every deed is taking a step towards a world that works for everyone. The science of mind philosophy is about rethinking my approach to life. It's about an expanded awareness of how the universe works. It's a deeper perspective on how manifestation works and what my role is in it. What do I want to create? What steps am I taking as I move forward? A world that works for everyone is not about controlling what other people do, or about taking what belongs to another, or even necessarily that we all agree. It's about something larger, something higher than that. It's an idea, a vision. I believe that the point of a vision is to help me to reach beyond to what I'm experiencing right now. It has to be larger, and perhaps so much larger that I can't even imagine that it would happen. This is in part how metaphysics work. My work is to open my mind to the highest vision I can. And when I do that, the creative intelligence of the universe pours itself into my experience. A world that works for everyone, that certainly seems a bit lofty. What can I do to open up and hold that vision? Perhaps some of us remember the song that Coca-Cola made famous. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to see the world for once, all standing hand in hand. I would have sung that for you, but even though it's a one-woman show, I didn't want to subject you to that. But it also brings to mind another song that has wonderful lyrics, and that's John Lennon's epic song, Imagine, where he invites us to imagine all the world living as one. These songs point to something within me, to an ancient wisdom that resides within me, because they speak to the truth with a capital T. So I find this very exciting, very positive, very hopeful. And on the other hand, I feel challenged and stretched to really accept and imagine that it is possible. There's something in me that sees this vision as a real possibility for all of us. And it's shared in one of the Science of Mind principles in the Declaration that I read earlier. And it was this: we believe the ultimate goal of life is the complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that it is sure to be attained by all. When I put in front of me a vision that harms no one and serves all, when I remain steadfast in maintaining that vision, it is something that must become a reality. When I maintain a faith as strong as the faith that I have that the sun will rise every morning, then everything that is required will bring that vision into my experience. I don't need to know how it will happen. I just have to have the intelligence to know the difference and the faith to know that it must happen. As I envision a world that works for all, it's not my job to convince others to want it. My job is to convince myself. Eckhart Tolle in A New Earth says this: you are not in the universe. You are the universe, an intrinsic part of it. Ultimately, you are not a person, but a focal point where the universe is becoming conscious of itself. A focal point where the universe is becoming conscious of itself. What an amazing miracle. This philosophy promotes and supports me in developing a clearer understanding of what I really want. Two things, prayer and meditation, put me in touch with my inner authority. It brings me to a moment of awareness where I can stop reacting to what's happening to me and to begin to consciously take charge of my life. It puts me in the driver's seat. It's kind of like the difference between being asleep at the wall, asleep at the wheel in the car, right? And then maybe you'll crash into the wall if you're sleeping at the wheel of the car, right? Or actually being awake and deciding where I'm driving that car to. So what is science of mind? Science of mind is actually looking at and studying our own minds. We learn about our minds. We become aware of our thoughts. We watch how we react to things. And then we can learn from that. We can learn to live better lives by understanding who we are and by making choices. A few weeks ago, I spoke about the brain. Synapses that fire together, wire together. The principle is simple. Throughout our brain, there is a collection of synapses separated by empty space called a synaptic cleft. Whenever you have a thought, one synapse shoots a chemical through the cleft to another synapse. And this builds a bridge, an electrical signal. It's very similar to how the nerves carry the sensation from your toe all the way up to your brain, and then you actually feel it. But here's the kicker. Every time this electrical charge is triggered, the synapses grow closer together in order to decrease the distance that the electrical charge has to cross. This is a microcosmic example of evolution, of adaptation. The brain is rewiring its own circuitry, physically changing itself to make it easier and more likely that the proper synapses will carry the chemical link, spark together, and in essence, make it easier for the thought to trigger. Simply put, your thoughts shape your brain. Not only that, but the shortest path wins the race. Here's an example. So imagine that you have two pairs of people throwing a ball back and forth. One pair stands 10 feet apart, and the other stands 100 feet apart. and they throw the ball, their own ball, at exactly the same time, at exactly the same speed. Everybody got that in their mind? So there's two teams. So they're throwing the ball at exactly the same time, at exactly the same speed. So imagine those balls are holding your thoughts. And the first team that catches the ball gets to dictate your personal decision, your mental state of mind. So which team gets the ball first? The one with the shortest distance. The one that's only going 10 feet, not 100 feet. And that's basically how our thoughts are working. Through repetition of thoughts, you've brought the pair of synapses that represent this closer and closer together. When the moment arises for you to form a thought, the thought that wins is the one that has the least distance to travel. The one that creates a bridge between the synapses. Accept or regret. Drift or desire. Optimism or pessimism. Love or fear. Remember, the synapses that fire together, wire together, and the shortest path wins the race. So which ones are you choosing? What team are you rooting for? There's an ability within us human beings that separates us from our earlier ancestors. And that's our ability to use our imagination. Imagination allows us to live in the past or in the future. And by escaping the present moment, we can use our memories of the past to predict what will happen in the future. I don't need to put my hand into a fire very often to figure out that if I put my hand in the fire, I'm going to get burned. So after a while, I don't even think about putting my hand in the fire because I know it's not a good idea. And this happens some of this stuff happens so instinctually, so quickly, that we don't even realize that it is constantly happening all the time, with every symbol, with everything that happens in our day-to-day moments. But our instincts, our ability to take that shortest path, allows us to alter our brains, to shift the synapses. But guess what? There's another kicker. That the thoughts of the people around you can also do that. The premise here is quite simple. When we see someone experiencing an emotion, whether it's anger or happiness or sadness, our brain automatically, before we even know it, tries out that same emotion to imagine what the other person is going through. It's called empathy. We all have empathy. This is how we get to like a mob mentality. This is how we share the bliss of music at festivals, or how we feel sadness when we're at a celebration of life. It's also what happens when we're sitting with our friends. Maybe we have some friends that like to complain a little bit too much. They're always going on about their job or about their relationship, the state of the world, the government, gossiping about other people and their perceived shortcomings. And here we are listening and just nodding our head, being polite, being good Canadians, just going along with whatever they say. But remember, every time that you are connecting with that emotion, there's synapses being fired in your brain. You're reshaping your brain. And that is one of the reasons why I think it's so important that we find people that lift us up. It's why we show up here on Sunday mornings, why we take classes and participate in events, because we want to surround ourselves with happy people, with forward-thinking people, with people who are consciously rewiring their brains towards love, towards a world that works for everyone. There's plenty of scientific evidence proving that when your brain is firing synapses of anger or fear or frustration, that you're weakening your immune system. You're raising your blood pressure, increasing your risk of heart disease, obesity, diabetes, a whole plethora of examples. That there's a stress hormone, cortisol, that is being released. And scientists have known for years that these elevated cortisol levels interfere with our learning, our memory. They lower our immune function, our bone density, increase our weight, affect our blood pressure, cholesterol, heart disease, the list goes on and on and on. Cortisol is the human body's response to fear or stress. It's released by the adrenaline glands, and it's part of our fight or flight mechanism that's built within all of us. The bottom line is that there's lots of stress in our lives, certainly lots of stress in my life. But what I've come to understand is that regardless of what is happening, my choice is simple: love or fear. Sure, I understand it's not always easy to think about love or happiness when you're sitting in your apartment or your house all by yourself and you feel like you're alone and that nobody cares, or that a loved one passes, or you fail a test, or you get fired from a job. But when these moments come up, today I know that I don't have to live in those moments. I don't have to give them my constant attention. I don't have to allow them to shape my brain. How exciting is that? I can actually change my thinking. I can change the way the synapses are firing in my brain. I can be on the team that is only 10 feet away. I can create the shortest distance. The synapses that fire together, wire together. That brings me to another practice: meditation. In the Science of Mind text, here's one of the quotes around meditation. We create misery for ourselves, suffering now and in the future, because of one moment of blind reaction. But if we are aware at the point where the process of reaction begins, that is, if we are aware of the sensation, we can choose not to allow any reaction to occur or to intensify. In these moments, the mind is free. Perhaps at first, these may only be a few moments in a meditation period, and the rest of the time the mind remains submerged in the old habit of reaction to sensations, the old round of craving, aversion, and misery. But with repeated practice, those few moments will soon become seconds, will become minutes, until finally the old habit of reaction is broken and the mind remains continuously at peace. This is how suffering can be stopped. I love further on in the textbook where Ernest Holmes says, "The world is beginning to realize it has learned all it should through suffering and pain. Surely there can be no intelligence in the universe that wishes man to be sick, suffer pain, be unhappy, or end in obliviation." He continues a little further on by saying, "God never intended man to suffer. Suffering may be salutary in that it leads us to a place where we learn that it is unnecessary. We shall cease to suffer as we more and more comply with the laws of the universe. All suffering is the result of some infringement on those laws." Some of my empowerment in my journey came to me when I realized that suffering is a choice. The universe, in any given moment, grants me a brand new start, a clean slate. I can start thinking differently right now. I can have a new experience right now, in this moment, or in this moment, or in this moment. How cool is that? Isn't that cool? I think it's so cool. So if I don't want to suffer, then I don't dwell on things that bring me suffering. If I want to be joyful, then I dwell on things that bring me joy. If I want to be useful, then I dwell on the things that I can do rather than the things that I can't. And if I want to be happy, then I do things that make me happy. A world that works for everyone need not be confused with the idea that we have to control other people or take what belongs to other people. It's something higher than that, something larger than that. It's an idea, a vision. It's a vision that helps me move to where I want to go. To me, the global vision of a world that works for everyone is just another way of singing Imagine, or singing that Coca-Cola song. And I'm guessing that something has to give way to make room for such a vision to take form. The way of metaphysics is that the movement takes place internally before it will show up externally. So I have to work on myself. Ernest Holmes says that the transformation takes place here. You don't even have to wonder if it will take place out there. That world, the world that works for everyone, will come when enough of us see through the light, see through the night, into the light. As we stay with that vision of a world that works for everyone, I trust and have faith that eventually it will replace an old reality with a new reality. I am going to continue to practice seeing the world standing hand in hand with apple trees and honeybees. Apple bees? There probably are apple bees. There's a restaurant. Oh, there's a restaurant. Okay. And to see where there's nobody hurting no one. And I have this idea, just as Ernest Holmes did, that he declared that there will be a complete emancipation of discord of every nature, which is another way of saying a world that works for everyone. So I invite you to use your imagination, to play with it, to imagine what living your life at the level of pure joy would be like. Imagine your friends and your family living their life in pure joy. Imagine what it would be like if we already lived in peace and harmony. Think about the whole planet. Imagine a whole planet working in harmony, that everyone had a sense of belonging. And my guess is that as you imagine this, you'll come up with your own version of a global vision. One that you can actually write down. You can put it someplace where you're going to see it on a daily basis, updating it and changing it as it works for you. So in closing, I just have two more quotes by Ernest Holmes. We are giving birth to the next great spiritual impulsion of the world. And for the first time in history, free from dogma, fear, superstition, materialism, all that is built on ignorance and the denial of God. The universe in which we live is a spiritual system now. In such degree as any of us bears witness in his or her mind to the divine fact, the tomb is open and the dead come forth. The transformation takes place here. We don't have to wonder if it will take place out there. This world will come, the world that works for everyone, when enough of us see through the night into the celestial light that shineth more and more onto a perfect day. And so it is.